If you're talking sports, it's the matchup. Mickey here with Zizzy. Yeah, we cutting it up. Just a couple athletic enthusiasts. You know what it is. The Mickey Zizzy podcast. Season 3, episode 36. And I could make a house of bricks. My goodness. What an NBA three-point contest and NBA All-Star Week. And along with that, the launch of the XFL. There is a whole lot to talk about here from this weekend. But first, as always, I am Zizzy, your co-host, along with the main man, Mickey Hines. And welcome to the Mickey Zizzy podcast by Supplementation and G for 3. Check out the YouTube links. We'll throw them in there for you. Let's get started, brother. Talk to me. What we got?
You know, Mr. Zizzy, it would all be fine and dandy. I am okay with the XFL. I am okay with NBA, but my mailbox has been a little empty. There's no playoff Tristan Wirfs shirt, playoff, or jersey.
Relax.
Just saying, I have to throw that out there for the people to know. But it is awfully great when the best player on your favorite NBA basketball team goes and breaks the most points scored in an all-star game ever. And that is my man, JT, Mr. MVP, Jason Tatum. His idol was Kobe Bryant, and he went and achieved that trophy. It was awesome weekend for All-Star Weekend. We're going to really break it down. I know there's a lot of people who have some negative thoughts about it, but I'm hyped. Let's go. I'm fully indulged into basketball season. Let's go.
I knew we were going to talk basketball, so I was like, okay, makes sense. He's wearing the Celtics stuff. Let's go bring it back. You know, we're into that type of season, but of course, I forgot Jason Tatum. Here we go. All right.
But first person of the week, we got to rock with celebrating those special people who are doing special things out there in the real world outside of sports. I am actually sticking to the rules. Here we go. Quick shout out to 4B. One of the class wanted a shout out. So shout out 4B. They sometimes listen to the podcast. But my person of the week is going to be Matt Mathis. He is the head boys track and field coach at Williamsburg. I am honored to say that I am on the coaching staff. I will be helping out with the long jump and the sprints for Williamsburg. Track is definitely one of the one true loves, and he is a really, really fun individual to be around and to work with. We always have awesome questions of the day. We always debate back and forth about the most craziest things, about which pizza is better, about XYZ. But overall, super excited to work with him when it comes to track, because he had some pretty successful track seasons. He actually got a coach against me when I was an athlete. So it's awesome to hear some of those stories as well. But Matt Mathis is my person of the week.
Matt Mathis. I mean, you gotta love the double M's too. I mean, that's pretty sweet along with it. But on top of that, I mean, the question of the days and all that. I mean, that's pretty sweet.
Oh, every day I got a question of the day. Ask any of my students. Question of the day. Every day. Today's was how long you could live without your phone. I said 2 days. I couldn't last that long.
I bet it's even worse for so many other kids out there now too. So it's okay. It's okay. 2 days might be good nowadays. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Shout them out. And represent the Mickey Zizzy podcast with a good note. For myself, the person of the week is actually going to go to Robert Cobb. That would happen to be my sister's boyfriend. He's also a good friend of mine, and the family has just always been great to be around. But it's really just about flag football. So I was down visiting the family this past weekend. It was my niece's birthday. I've got some pictures and videos to share with all y'all as well. But it was super cool to just be down there, because I usually miss all those events just being up in Daytona. But I was down south, so on top, while we were doing that, we also had some flag football games. And then I gotta say, big time players make big time plays in big time games. Okay, we make plays. When we go out there on the field, we make plays, and we should make our own segment represented by this man, Robert Cobb. The Mickey Zizzy, you got mossed. I'm just saying. He had an amazing game. It was so cool to see our flag football season start with him kind of just towering over two defenders. I mean, he's a 6'5" guy. He's a big frame. I get it. But still, go up and get it, son. Made him look small. It was just a good time being around him as well, and being able to play on the same team as him first time since high school, something like that. I think. But just a good time overall, and good to see him and hang out outside of just the typical going to dinner with the fam and stuff.
Wow, I think that's our first ever You Got Moss segment on the Mickey Zizzy podcast with Robert Cobb. How about it, Mr. Cobb? Have yourself a day, getting a huge shout out here on the Mickey Zizzy podcast. All right. Let's go into it with some good vibes. So, Mr. Zizzy, we're talking about all-star performances, big-time players make big-time plays and big-time games. Let's talk about that all-star game. We'll talk about that first, and we'll digest the other two major events that did happen. All-star game, Yank. Let me just go on a little tangent here. Okay, first off, I love.
I'll let you run. Let you run.
Yeah, you let me run. I'm a track star. What can I say? No, the really big thing about this was Team Giannis did win 184-175 over Team LeBron. You know, as a LeBron hater, I did like seeing that, but none other than coming at the hand of Jason Tatum. The man absolutely balled. Him and Jaylen Brown were going 1-1 at each other towards the end of some of those quarters, and I absolutely loved it. This is a safe way to show off a lot of their talents. I mean, Jaws doing 360 dunks. He tried to in between the legs dunk mid-game. They're shooting half quarters, and the old heads will tell you, Yank, that this is bad for the game. The All-Star game's stupid, da-da-da-da-da. I'm sorry, Yank. Nobody posts on their stories, on Instagram, on Twitter, good defense anymore. I'm sorry, it's just not what it is. They post the deep threes. They post the posterizing dunks, right? And that's what the people want to see. We want to see these amazing athletes go do just crazy, obnoxious things, right? Throwing it off the backboard. You know, LeBron goes and dunks at the age of 38, and then here comes Jason Tatum, does the same thing. The next rising king, some people are saying. I may be the only one saying that, but Yank,
some people are saying.
You can tell from the excitement of voice, like, I love this. Like, I'm freaking out in my apartment. Haley's like, really, Mickey? Come on. Cool down. I'm like, he just hit like 4 threes in a row. Like, it was starting the second half. Him and Donovan Mitchell were going off like back and forth, and it was electric. Like,
I mean, it's true.
And just the lobs to Lauri Markkinen was super fun. And like, that's what the people want to see. We want to see big time lobs. Like, we don't really want to see good defense, right? We see that in the playoffs. We see that in every other game most of the time. And you know what, old head, step aside, but this is what the new age wants. This is how you keep kids excited for it. Is it a bad basketball game? You betcha, right? No one's just going to let you score, but in the All-Star game, we want to see a lot of points. We want to see 370 plus points scored in a basketball game. So, end all be all, I think, okay, I lied. It was like 360. So, over 350, I should say. End all be all, I thought it was an amazing game just for the excitement that the players did bring.
I mean, I don't know if I'll call it an amazing game. I mean, but we've talked about this before. And last year I was with you in supporting this format, with the whole adding 24 points to the end of the game and making the target score made it more competitive. This year I didn't get the same feeling as much with the 24 with the target score at the end. It just, I mean, it was also probably just from the fact that Team Giannis was up by a solid amount going into it. I mean, Team LeBron tried to make a late run at the end there, but I mean, just didn't have the same feel or vibe. Maybe it's just because we've been spoiled with some of the recent endings. But either way, I mean, it's a great overall. I mean, it's a good overall weekend. I would just say first and foremost. I mean, from Matt McClung the dunk contest, which I know we're going to talk about, to the 3-point contest, which it had its own type of hype, whether it's negative or positive, had its own hype. And then, I mean, the game itself, it is entertaining. The offense is off the chain. You have the crazy dunks. I mean, it's fun to watch. But I can also sit here and say that after 2 years of like 2-3 years of this format and seeing everything be done this way, I still do understand the other's perspective, just because like I remember it as a little kid, and I remember seeing, and we still see the highlights all the time of like the best players in the world really like ISO going hard, lock up at each other. It's a sight to see, and so I understand what they're trying. Like, they want to see who really is top dog, because in a way, that's kind of a way to say like who's the top of the food chain. But I mean, it's a different world. It's a different age. I don't expect it to ever go back to that. So why not embrace it?
Yeah, I mean, I just tell from the voice, I'm kind of upset. Like, I understand, you know, back in the day, like Kobe's locking up LeBron, right? They would really go at each other, but that's what the final 24, you know, points does. And if your team doesn't score in those opportunities where legit you're giving layups or dunks, right? Which they're playing a little bit of defense. There's quite a few steals for Team Giannis there. Even LeBron tried to go up for a block and hurt his hand, so we'll have to talk more about that later. But there is defense, and the last 24 points, I think, is still perfect, right? That's the final. All right, put the top 10 dogs in, let them battle it out. And obviously, they're just shooting three, so they knew they were up by a lot, right? But we saw the one year when I think Anthony Davis hit the free throw to win. I think it was the first year they implemented it. Like, that was intense, right? That was close, but that's what we want. And sometimes, right, you're going to miss a lot of your shots. A lot of the times, Team LeBron missed a lot of their shots, Yank. So, like, that was just a bad game on their part. And you just can't help that JT goes off 55. I mean, the man was not missing.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was
So,
across the board. I mean, when we look at, I mean, when we're being honest, when we're talking about the team when they were drafted, I feel like everybody was kind of laughing at Giannis's roster.
I was
For
upset.
that, for them to
We're
come
gonna
out
lose.
and for Tatum and Donovan Mitchell to be going off the way that they did, I mean, it was.
But they also tried. Luka and Jokic did not try at all. You even heard Luka on the mics like, I don't want to do this. I got my 2 points. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? So, like, some people definitely, because, you know, they're a little bit more tired. They want to take that load management. And some of them dudes are, like, super healthy, ready to go. Like, let's go ball out. Let's go have a day. So, I mean, it does kind of hurt. You don't get as excited. Like, that's awesome, taking those deep threes, right? Just nonstop shooting. We don't see that.
Yeah, I know, but it is also cool to see somebody like square up, go play some real defense, or see somebody
And then at
get
the end of the
blocked
quarter,
off the
JT
bat.
locked up JB. Like,
A little bit, and I wouldn't say that he locked him up either.
he didn't take a shot.
On the one series,
Yeah.
yes. I was gonna say that whole thing going back and forth was awesome. That was awesome.
I don't know. You're a defensive player. I'm an offensive player, so obviously we're going to disagree with that.
Well,
but
I mean,
anyone else, like,
you
comment,
can't
like,
deny the high flying acrobatics ain't a bad thing to watch, but
it's really not. Overall, I mean, you still like this format, etc. So that's great.
and I mean,
this
like,
format.
it's never gonna go back to normal. Why would we expect it to?
No, not at
Why would
all.
we
It's just with
expect
load
it to?
management these days.
It's just a different perspective these days. They know too much. They're trying to protect themselves. We put way too much emphasis on the playoffs as a fan base, as the NBA is a league. Like, they only care about
you don't get
one
no
thing
rings for
just
the
as
All
much
Star
as we
game. You know
do.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
you're going. Yeah, people are there for the rings, and I mean, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
I mean, they do have the trophies, the All Star trophy, the MVP trophy, and, like, they actually have the All Star champion trophy. Giannis gets to take that home, so, like, a little bit more incentive to play hard. But I mean, end all be all, you want to go win a championship, right? Cool, we won the All Star game, but I didn't go win the ship. Like, granted, you know, like flag football games. I know our buddy Steven has an All Star game. I'm like, that's legit. I'd try so hard to go win an All Star game. Like, you get invited, so, like, I get it. And it is in the middle of the season, so it is tough. But
yeah, I mean, I know I'd be going into any All-Star game I was in. Like, I don't care what y'all doing. I'll go for the MVP.
I go for the ship. Yeah.
I'll go for MVP.
So let's transition to the exciting part, or not really exciting, but the rebirth of the dunk contest. Some people are saying that the dunk contest is back with Mac McClung. Yank, amazing. Like, his dunks were surreal. Jumping over people, hitting the backboard, slamming
the
it down.
double clutches,
760, the double clutches. He's got bunnies like no other. He just got signed a contract. His G League contracts finally met up to his winning. Like, he won like 100,000 for winning the dunk contest. So, like, he's here to stay, and I really hope other people come out, because, like, he had legit dunks and he got people on their feet. But Yank, also look at his competition: Trey Murphy, Kenyon Martin Jr., and Jericho Sims, which Jericho Sims had an awful dunk contest. The, like, double, and, like, he didn't fully get it all the way in. Then one
grabbing the net.
Yeah, that was just bad, right? You know me, I want more props in my eyes. Like, when I think it was Trey Murphy's, where what's his name came through, stole it from behind, threw it off the backboard. Like, that was cool. Overall, I thought it was a good dunk contest. It wasn't one of the worst. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I mean, but I mean, it's unfortunate that there wasn't somebody else that was also just going bonkers, or also, like, just able to keep up with the hype that McClung was bringing with this. But I mean, it's exciting. I mean, people were definitely tuned in, and we were all, like, focused, whether it was on one guy or not. We were tuned into this dunk contest, and I'm not gonna sit here and call it a rebirth of the contest, because yeah, it would still be nice to see, like, the name brand superstars get in there. Some of these high flying athletes be able to get out. But I mean, what
else can you say that isn't positive about what Matt McClung came out there and did, man? I mean,
Straight up one.
G League player or not, man, he
He's the
was
guy
out
you
there
see on
with
Instagram
bunnies.
that's dunking. And you're like, whoa, those are sweet dunks. He should be in the dunk contest over some of these other people that are in it. And we actually got to
Well,
see
and
that.
the best part, he did it all on one try. Every single one on one attempt. Absolutely the best part about the entire thing. Because everybody, we've seen so many times over the past few years, it'll take 7, 8 tries for some of these guys to get some of these done. And we lose interest after 2. I'm telling you, as a fan base, like put heart and soul and effort into prepping for this, like this guy did, and this is how it turns out. And it was incredible on his behalf. 350s? Come on,
Yeah,
man.
I should have been 4. I agree with you about once a podcast, once an episode. Otherwise, you're pretty hot takes on your side. But that was very, very smart. Like that
Hey,
is
that's one though. That's
yeah.
one.
No, 100%. Like he put his heart and soul into it. Like I totally agree. And maybe now with him like performing like he did, and like people want him to come back. And he said like, "Hey, if you have me, I'm coming back." I think everyone wants him, like from social media, from
This man just
NBA
made his
players.
career, regardless if he really ever makes it in the NBA. He can make his career off of that, off even if he doesn't do it again, off
Like
of this
bring
just
out
one.
Ja Morant, right? We
Like get
want to
this.
see Ja. Bring out
What?
Zion. Like, could you imagine McClung bringing out like he beats Ja and Zion?
And I hate to say, and I know people always want to like, oh, blame him because it's his fault. No, it's been happening since way before that. But even LeBron at 38 could get out there and throw down and do some
He would
dunks. I would
lose. He
love
would
to see him
lose.
out there too. Yeah,
No,
but it'd be awesome.
it's awesome. My only complaint is more props. You know me. I want to see cars. I want to see motorcycles brought out. I want someone to like throw it
They're
off
only
the
going to
high
do that if Kia
scoreboard.
sponsors it, man.
If you ever look at it was NBA Live 09, one of the best dunks you could throw it off the scoreboard like the jumbotron, catch it in between the legs, dunk it. Like I want to see something like bonk, bro. It was sweet. Like I've always just anticipated seeing that because I saw it in
Yo,
the video
someone needs
game.
to just go on. They just need to go on 2K, look at the craziest ones, and be like, I gotta figure it out.
Yeah. So and like the one where he had 2 people on top of each other, like granted he was squatting down a little bit, but like that makes it look so much more. And like you said, making on the first try is way more impressive. You don't get a warm up. He goes up there, does it, spins around 2 times, like absolutely amazing. I mean, my last regard about this is it was entertaining. It was good. There was a clear winner. There's none of the debate. I think that was actually one of our first episodes, or like one in our first season. The how Dwayne Wade gave Aaron Gordon a 9 on one of them. Crazy.
Oh yeah, well that was just all yeah.
Against Derrick Jones Jr., I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was so upset.
Yeah. So overall, really, really good. Any other last takes besides about the dunk contest?
No, no, it was really great to see the energy and the hype. Obviously, it wasn't for every single person that participated, but at least just in general, super awesome event.
I mean, when Sims dunked it, I saw like an overview of the fans, and they're all just like. But when
it's
McClung
upsetting. It's upsetting, man. Yeah.
um,
Well, with McClung, you got the supers were freaking out. Like you got Giannis, you got Donovan Mitchell. Oh my.
no, 100%. Let's move on to the 3-point contest. We'll talk about this one just briefly here before we start talking about NBA news. It was a good one. Dame Dollar took it. I was upset that night because Jason Tatum did lose. He had 20. Wasn't fantastic by any means, but he went and got All-Star MVP. That means a whole lot more. The thing I just love about the 3-point contest is like this year they didn't really like pop off, right? Halliburton did. Tyrese Halliburton, which is just becoming. I mean, he is an all-star. He is becoming the Indiana Pacers, which
He's already a playmaker.
yeah, that alone is showing a lot. So like he popped off 31 in the first round, like that's bonkers. But like seeing like Hero
isn't that a record? Is that a record?
Tied it. He tied it. I'm pretty sure.
Probably with Steph.
Yeah, I think it was. And then the funny part was when Dame was shooting like the 3-point ball, like the starry ball or whatever it is.
Yeah, the 4 is that a 4-point or a 3?
Yeah, 3. They're like, that needs to be moved closer. That's too close for him. I'm like, that's so true though. Overall, I thought it was an okay 3-point contest. I mean, I wish it was a little bit like closer, but Dame technically did win it on like the last shot before Halliburton went.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I thought that overall, I mean, it's a decent contest. I just don't understand where they configure the lineups for who's going to be in it sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a Miami Heat fan. Tyler Hero shouldn't be in that contest. Julius Randle? Why is it Kevin Herter? Kevin Herter shot for 8 points. Kevin Hart got more points than him when he did his 3-point contest. Okay, like it's just the first round coming out was so cold to me that it was just like that was what was engraved in my brain, no matter what we saw to end it. I know, like it just that irked me. That irked me. So I would like to take a look at like what it is and how people qualify for this event. Obviously, if certain people want to do it, like if Steph wants to do it, he's going to do it. If Clay wanted to do it, he was going to do it. Like they're going to let the best people do it if they want to do it. Maybe that's just why. So they start scrambling, but you got to get me a little bit better than that. Aside from that, great contest. I love how it's my favorite event usually every All-Star weekend. But yeah, just my little take on them.
Yeah, I mean, there's one point where like they kept on missing those guys, and Jason Tatum's like, I'm still in it. Like, because 20 is not a great score. You're probably not going to advance to the next round with 20. Like, you're the fourth, fifth guy, because top three advance. It definitely highlighted how the All-Star weekend went. It wasn't like the best All-Star game, the most memorable, you know what I'm saying? Definitely had its memorable moments, McClung, Jason Tatum, etc. So like that's exciting, but like each event wasn't as crazy. I bet you they could do a little bit more, kind of like what the NFL is doing with different type of games. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
But
they've always had the same ones, so I'm not sure.
I don't think they'll change it. The whole
Yeah.
draft before, I kind of liked the whole playground draft.
That was cool. I like
Like
that.
that's what people want to see. Like, all right, we're playing pickup basketball.
Especially with Giannis. Giannis is so funny, man. Giannis is such a clown. I
Giannis
love
is a people
watching him.
person. Like, I
Yeah.
would love just to hang out with him, sit down. All right, Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's just go chill and like talk about life. He'd be so cool, and he's such a good person. Nonetheless, but anything else about the All-Star weekend? Like I said, I really enjoyed it though. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't like bad. Like it was a good All-Star
No,
weekend.
it was a overall. I thought it was a pretty great NBA All-Star weekend. I know they're doing a lot of things just in general with the league to help it progress, and they've got another few ideas that they are going to be proposed this off season. So we'll see what happens if anything changes the All-Star game. But overall, it was pretty great to me.
Yes, it was, Mr. Zizzy. Now let's talk about some NBA. All right. We got like about 23 games left, and the season standings are pairing out. We did talk about how the West is extremely hard with KD over there, Kyrie over there, and the East is looking pretty easy for our Heat, Bucks, and Celtics. Those are kind of like the top three people who are saying. But let's talk about some of the most recent. Russell Westbrook again. I feel like we just talked about him getting traded, but now he is signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, Zizzy, talk to me. Is this good or bad for LA? He didn't have to go buy a new house.
Good or bad for LA Clippers or LA Lakers?
You tell me.
I mean, I think for the Clippers, it's fantastic. It's a great move for them.
Really?
I really do, just because you got to think about Russell Westbrook's upside and his talents, right? Like, yes, he was coming off the bench. Regardless, I don't know if he's going to be starting for the Clippers or coming off a bench role at this point, because obviously we see he's willing to accept that. But he's an all-time playmaker. I mean, he's Mr. Triple Double. We've called him that before, and now you're putting him on a team that actually has the shooters. Like when he was playing for the Lakers, yes, he was leading the second unit. Yes, he was relied to carry the ball whenever LeBron wasn't. But he had nobody to really throw it to get those assists, to make those passes to the outside. It relied on him. Like Russell Westbrook was clowned on for being a shooter because he was trying to create his own shots and his own points, because I mean he had to at times, and he's just not the greatest shot maker, let's be honest there. But the Clippers, they got shooters. They got Batum. They got some other guys out there on the outside. You got Paul George. You got Kawhi. You got like, as long as the Clippers are healthy, which is the same. I mean, health is the name of the game for all teams in the NBA. We probably should just stop bringing it up at this point. But I really do like the move for the Clippers, and then for the Lakers, I mean, I already said I liked the trade for them to get rid of Russell Westbrook for the people they got to begin with, so I'm okay with it. It probably, I mean, it might make it tougher for them if they end up matching up because you know that Russ is going to come with some extra firepower. But that's, I mean, not really much of a take for me on how it'll affect the Lakers.
The Yank, I've been a huge Russell Westbrook fan throughout his years in the NBA. He's very explosive. He is just such a good talent, raw talent, a future Hall of Famer. Now, the past two places he's been, right? The Rockets really didn't do anything after that kind of whole dismantled, then with the Lakers, etc. I just don't think he's the missing piece, right? Like obviously he's going to make your basketball team better. I see him getting like a 4, 20, and 20 game. 4 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists, because like he has those players, right? He can bring down the ball, pass it, facilitate the offense. It doesn't have to take the shot. You're right with the Lakers point. He had to take the shot a lot of the times. Here, you got Kawhi, you got PG, right? If Kawhi stays healthy, I don't think Kawhi's at the top 10 in the NBA right now because we haven't seen him for a year and a half, almost 2 years. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. They are looking pretty good. They are 4th in the West right now, right? They're 5 games above 500, and I think they can get W's. And this is a perfect opportunity. Those 20 games is gonna be great for them to build team chemistry. End all be all. Do I think he's gonna be the missing piece to help them out? No. Do I think they win the first 2 rounds? I could see them going to a Western Conference Finals, which Yank. Any of these West teams can go to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
realistically that is their ceiling, though. They're gonna lose 4-1 in the Western Conference Finals. Okay, because I just don't see because if Kawhi has a bad game, right, I don't see PG taking him. Which the Clippers didn't do too bad. I think they made it to the second round without Kawhi 2 years ago. I think it was the Reggie Jackson year when he popped off.
Yeah.
So I don't see it happening, and it kills me because like I want to hype up Russell Westbrook. I love him as a player, right? I was hyped when he came to the Lakers, but since I was so hyped on the Lakers and that didn't pan out with the second best player of all time. Well, he is the second best player, but like potentially one of the best players of all time. You know what I'm saying? Like that didn't work out. How's it going to work out for Kawhi? Different system. LeBron needs shooters because he is what Russell Westbrook is, but a better scorer. Can we agree on that?
Well, yeah, I would say
gets
like
the rebounds, gets the assists.
Yeah, and I mean I also like your point at the end in a way. I think that LeBron and Russell Westbrook do have very similar gameplay. As far as like how they maneuver. Yeah, and so it's very hard for them to operate on the floor together. And we saw that plenty of times. I mean, we didn't see all 3 of them between Westbrook, LeBron, and Anthony Davis on the floor together all that much. But even in the small sample size, it wasn't really all that impressive because it just looked congested. It looked clogged. They couldn't figure out that gel. So I think the moves are great on both ends. I think that Russell Westbrook not being on the Lakers and still being in LA, but on the Clippers instead of the Lakers, a lot less spotlight, a lot less people going to be riding him because he had to be the piece for the Lakers. For the Clippers, I know that what you were saying, like technically he does have to be the piece, but like no one's necessarily talking about it or viewing it that way. I just feel like it's a little bit less stress playing with the Clippers than it is for the Lakers.
Clippers haven't won anything. That's a totally correct take, Yank. They haven't won anything. They have no obligations.
So what? It's just less of an expectation because of that?
100%. The Lakers have won things. LeBron has won things. When you're with LeBron, you're supposed to win championships. And when you are one of the worst teams in the NBA, not even in the play-in tournament, that has a bad reflection on you as a player, right?
But
and it's a bigger spotlight. When you play with LeBron, you get a bigger spotlight.
Well, I get that. Okay. Well, that's a different point.
Or with the
for me, well, yeah, I mean, you're right because LeBron's gonna be the face of the league. He's gonna get the publicity. There's gonna be a spotlight there regardless, and then on top of that, they're on the Lakers. So
one of the most it's Boston and LA are the most successful franchises. Like
and absolutely
blown up.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that's a different point, but yeah, I don't know.
That's the thing, though. We don't know because, like, we want to make a hot take like we did when Russell came to the Lakers. They're winning the ship. Like, this is stacked. This is a super team, right? We didn't see it happen. So how, it's like, I can't go back. I touched.
Well,
my
it's more
soul,
so.
like,
It's more so like also. Well, I guess my question is like aside from the spotlight in LA, like the Clippers have never won. Like that's so that's also like the kind of the point. Like they haven't won, so he could be a part of the first championship. This is the breakout season. Like I've heard people say that it would mean more for the Clippers to win a championship than it would for the Lakers.
100%. I mean,
You
your
think
first ever
that's true?
championship.
So that can be true without him having more stress. Like I mean, I'm just
They
asking
are.
because I think he has less stress on the Clippers, but
Yes, I agree.
it's just kind of a counterpoint.
It depends how you look into the glass here, right? You see, like, yes, they haven't won their first. They're trying to win their first. They're close. They have the players. They have a
And this
two-time
whole
NBA
and
champion.
everyone talks about the Brooklyn Nets failed experiment. The Clippers ain't too far away, in my opinion, right now. At least from the last few years. Let's be honest.
They've made. I think it was 2 years ago. They made it to the Western Conference Finals, or
Yeah, but that was not why they got put together. You know that.
They had Paul George and Kawhi was hurt that year, right?
It's
So
every year though. He's hurt every year.
and they should be a potential championship team. They're in the top 10.
They are when they're healthy. I can't deny that. But I'm just saying it's been 3-4 seasons ever since LeBron went to the Lakers. So it's been at least 3-4 years.
So yeah, so like that's why the Clippers like, oh, like they haven't done it. Like, are they actually gonna do it?
Because if they don't do it in this year or next, I don't think they do it.
No, 100% no. Yeah, I totally agree. That team's gonna get blown up just like the Nets just did. Yank, really good debate there, but let's talk about some other teams in the West. We're gonna digest the West here, Yank, and it's crazy when you look at the standings because the Nuggets are 41-18. They are running the West, and nobody's giving them credit, Yank. Nobody's giving this team credits. Like, honestly, I don't see them go to the Western Conference Finals. Hot take. Like, I just don't. I see these better teams going. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see the Grizzlies going. I see the Suns going. I see the Clippers we talked about. I see the Mavericks. Like, I see any of those 4 teams I just mentioned beating the Nuggets.
Woo, I don't know yet, man. I just don't because let's there's a couple things to think about. First off, they have been a prolific team for probably the last 4 years, I would say. Like they've been out of all the teams that we're talking about, I would say the most consistent, right? Probably them and the Suns in the West over the last few seasons.
Lost too. They
Yeah,
consistently
no, they haven't capitalized, but that's also the story. Like that's another story about Jokic and his legacy and all that. Like, can he? Because we're looking at him potentially winning his 3rd straight MVP this season, and he has a very good like argument for it. If he goes and wins his 3rd MVP and then gets knocked out again in the playoffs, like what does that really what does that really say? What does that really tell you? So for me, they have to make a deep playoff run for his legacy. On top of that, we've seen them in the playoffs, but they haven't had Jamal Murray. Let's remember that he's been gone for basically.
That's why the Nuggets won't be good.
What? Just because he's been gone? He's back.
They don't got their Robin. They don't have the Robin. In an NBA, you need 2 All-Stars to win. Kawhi,
he's not an All-Star. Jamal Murray's not an All-Star.
He's been hurt. Like when
he's back.
Yes, I'm looking at the past few games. He has been playing.
Well, he takes rest days and everything.
Exactly,
like they're
but
gonna watch that.
He's still not full healthy. He's still not prime Jamal Murray. He's definitely out of his prime.
Well, I mean, I can't say prime. I don't know if anyone's prime after injury like that. I mean, it's different. Some people we see return in 6 months, Mickey, but other people come back in 2 years. Like it took him 2 years for this knee injury.
And that's what I'm saying. So like it's hard for him to like look at this team. Like, is he gonna be the second best player on your basketball court? I look at this roster, Yank. Michael Porter Jr., yeah, he does have a high ceiling. I don't see him taking over a playoff game. And then who do you want to talk about? Bruce Brown. I know he scored 50 that one time with the Nets. Not gonna be it. Caldwell Pope. Definitely not going to be it. He got kicked out of LA.
But those are all role players. What do you mean?
So who's going to be you? So Jokic is going to be having all these role
players.
Mr.
Triple double. If he's averaging 30, 10, and 10, yeah, he is.
They still lose when he does that. Like, come on now.
They're 41-18. They're number 1.
The playoffs.
Oh,
they're a great regular season team, Yank. They really are. But in my eyes, I mean, that's the hot take. Hot take of the day. Nuggets aren't going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. Like,
I mean, I'm not saying that they're even going to make it there just yet because I want to see the matchups, and I'm with you. The West is so tight, it's ridiculous. But I do got to give them the benefit of the doubt, at least for right now. I mean, there's maybe one team in the West that I would pick over them at this point.
and let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking the Phoenix Suns. That's the team that I would worry about if we're going to talk about the Nuggets, just because Adam KD. Again, we've been talking about teams that have been consistent throughout the years. The Phoenix Suns have been consistently at the top. They've got one of the greatest coaches, the defending coach of the year, if I'm correct, and Monty Williams. It's just to add Kevin Durant to something like that, it gives me a Warriors type feel in a way. Not as dominant, obviously, but still. Just super impressive what their roster has, at least the starting lineup. I mean, we've already talked about it. So that's the one team. But aside from that, I think the West is just completely wide open.
It's not the thing is, it's not. I hear people say that all the time. It's wide open, but it's really not. Like, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be amazing match.
It's wide open as far as like we really don't know who's going to end up as the final 8 teams, and we have no idea what seeding is going to be.
100%, because like I'm looking at this, right, and I'm looking at those Warriors at the 9 seed, potential 8 seed, like. Nuggets, you're going to have to play Steph Curry because he's going to be healed up by the time first round. Like, good luck. Like, that's not the defending champs. You don't want to play them first round as an 8 seed, right? Oh, okay, we'll go be the 7 seed, play the 2 seed. Well, that's the Grizzlies. Like, Grizzlies and them is a new rivalry. Like, watch out for that. So, like, you already talked about seeding. So that was my point. Like, it's anyone's game. Like, it's going to be a bloodbath. Like, the East, it's like anyone's, you know what I'm saying? Like, AKA Bucks.
The East, I could give you. There's a top 4, and if you ain't in it, you ain't a part of it.
Top 4, I'd say maybe top 3, but we'll talk about that when we talk about East in just a second. But that Suns team, and we put the jersey bet on it. I'm buying the CP3 jersey if they win. Like, I'm totally with it. I have them winning the West. This is a 2K created team, and like when I look at a very successful NBA franchise, you have your All-Star, your Batman, your Kevin Durant, right? You have your Robin, Devin Booker. Then you have your role players, a young, tall, athletic center, DeAndre Ayton. Then you have somebody who can facilitate the offense, your point guard. Well, you have one of the best point guards ever in the NBA history, right? That's kind of crazy. And then let's talk about Yank, their bench, right? Their role players, their actual role players. Like, that's a big 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tony Craig, I'm sorry, but Tony Craig can still score the basketball, right?
Torrey Craig is going to come out and be he's going to start, isn't he? I think he might be their number 4.
Or did he go on the trade? No, yeah, he's with them.
No, he'll stay with them. But I'm trying to think who their starting 5, who number 5 would be in their start.
I think it would be Tony Craig. And then, I mean,
Torrey Craig. Okay.
Yeah. And then, they went and picked up Terrence Ross, which is a sneaky one. Like, he might score you a good 10 points in a playoff.
That's a good pickup, too.
And then, they also have TJ Warren, which he can go off. I still like Biyombo, Bismack. I know a lot of people don't, but like they have those like role players that can be good, right? I mean, we're just talking about the roster. We're just name calling right now.
They're good.
But on 2K, this team might go 82-0. Like, you make this roster, like, oh, sweet. Like, people try to do that, try to make their team go 82-0, and this would be a roster to do so. So, I mean, it's hard. Like, if Katie's off, guess what? That's fine. You still got D-Book, CP3. Like, you have all those dudes. And we just talked about how Russell Westbrook doesn't have to score. CP3 doesn't have to score at all. CP3 doesn't have to take a shot. Let him go off for the 25-assist game. Like, I want to see it happen.
Well, and they were already asking him questions, and he was talking about how this is the best opportunity for me in my career. He was giddy about it. Like, he doesn't care about scoring. He's always been an assist man. So for him to go out there and be able to facilitate, be a playmaker, and just allow the things to happen around him, this team will be scary. I can't wait.
Yank, they are, and the Suns are in a win now mode. They are this is the make or break year. Maybe next year because they didn't get a whole season together. We've seen that time to time, right? But these next year and a half, if the Suns do not win a championship, they will also blow up. They will. Everyone's gone. And it's a rebuild for them. And that's crazy that sometimes we think about some of these teams is championship or bust, right? Yank, it's crazy. So, yeah. I mean, otherwise, I'm still surprised the Kings are a 3 seed. I think they're going to get upset, and I don't think they go far in the playoffs. But let's transition over to the East. Who's this Big Four you're talking about? Big Four.
Big Four. Well, you're talking about you've got your Celtics, you've got your Heat, you've got your 76ers, and you've got the Bucks. That was my four.
So, okay, let me die.
76ers.
I just give you the-
I know that we've always talked about them as being the collapsing team in the playoffs, but you can't say that they're not playing some great basketball currently.
They are right now, the James Harden, Joel Embiid's kind of working out. I don't see him winning. The Celtics just beat him with the backups. Blake Griffin was cooking them. All right, call him the grill master. Like, let's go. We beat him with the backups. And Joel Embiid is top 10 player in the NBA. That's, easy to debate. But, like, to see them win, no, I almost might take the Cavaliers over the 76ers. And that might just be the rivalry between the Sixers and Boston. But, like, the Heat, I still give it to because the Heat is that gritty team. We say every single year on the Mickey Zizzy podcast that he's just gritty, right? And right now they're the 7th seed. They're going to have to – I want them to stay out of the play-in tournament because if they mess around in the play-in tournament, that's bad news for us. If they get that 6th seed, they're chilling in my eyes. So end all be all for the East. I can't get behind the 76ers. I do think they're, if they are loose in the second round, maybe they have a big playoff or first round win. Say they sweep.
Yeah, and I mean, I could also be disrespecting the Cavs by not talking about them at all, but either way, I mean, I think it's much easier to be decisive about the East than it is about the West.
100%. I mean, the reason why I am taking the Cavs over the 76ers is because they're front. Like, they have Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen who can go head to head with Joel. They can body him up. You know what I'm saying? They have Darius Garland, who's a scorer. They have Donovan Mitchell, who's a scorer, right? Forget they have Karis LeVert and Danny Green. Like, those are shooters, right? They'll shoot the rock. So they have a well-constructed roster.
Those boys are old.
Better than the 76ers. So that's why I have them going ahead of them. I don't see the 76ers going necessarily far.
I mean, the only negative for the Cavs would probably just be the fact that they're going to let Kevin Love go to, where? The Heat. Okay.
Whatever. He's going to be on the bench, be a veteran player, hyping each other up.
Perfect.
You already got one. You got Udonis Haslem doing that. Man's 450. Getting those 1 year veteran minimum.
Old, man. That dude is old.
Yank, I mean, we could go on and on, but obviously we're going to be talking about the NBA a ton here in the next weeks or so. So, and also March Madness is coming up, letting everyone know, stay tuned to when the March Madness link comes out. Bracket, we will most likely be going with Pinnacle. We got to finalize that deal with our favorite sponsor, Pinnacle Supplementation. Go check them out. I had mine with chocolate milk today, right after my chest workout. Sponsor there. But let's transition, Yank. There's one more exciting thing we have to talk about, in my opinion. Football's not over. And this time, it's different rules. It's different ways to make your brain think. And I already announced it on Twitter. Myself and our good friend Brock Flack me and him are San Antonio Brahma fans. All right. Horns forward. Let's go. And we're talking XFL. Y'all, go check it out. It's pretty interesting. Obviously, I'm a huge Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fan, and he has his own football league, and what they're doing with the 54th man is so, so cool. It's like the G League for the NFL, and you still have the USFL. So we're going to talk about all the cool rules, two of the big ones that happened this weekend. That's pretty much what won it against the Brahmas. But give me your first take on the XFL, your first thoughts about it, etc.
Well, I mean, I just always like things that bring fresh perspectives and different ways of viewing things, we get to see the in the locker room press conferences. We get to see coaches be mic'd up throughout the entire game. We see different rules being taken place. I mean, and they kind of, like you said, it's a G League as far as players development go, but it's also for the game itself. They try out different rules. If there's anything that's super well liked among the fans or the game or the players themselves, maybe that gets proposed to the NFL and use there. You just never really know, but there's a lot of little nuances that you just really love to see. And of course, I mean, it's football in late February going into March. We love that, baby. We love that.
Inuans, or however you say it. That's the word of the day right there. I can't even spell it for you. Let's talk. I mean, the biggest thing what we're gonna do for this segment, everyone who's listening, is talk about those new rules and why they're so cool or interesting because it is different. Let's talk about the little things as there's no PAT. Well, there is, but it's like your flag football. 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point. It's legit flag football rules.
It's the best, man.
3 point,
screw a PAT.
I think it's from 15 yards. 2 point is from 10, and then 3, or is it 5? Something like that. I don't know the
It's
official
just
rule.
5, 10, 15, I think.
I think it's 2. The one point is from the 2, from what I remember, like seeing the lines on the field.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool in itself because teams can really make that jump, like a 3-point play after you just scored a touchdown. Like, we're gonna see a lot of those plays. So that's fun, but that means more offense, right? You get to see these red zone plays, these crazy trick plays like we see a lot of the time. So that is cool, right? But the big one I do want to talk about is the kickoff. Now, they're definitely doing this for safety, and I could see this rule happening in the NFL. So they line up at like the 25, right? Your normal kickoff, right? But they line up at the 25. And then they catch the ball. When he catches it, they're already at the 25, like right next to the defender.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? The returner.
Yep.
And then they all block each other 5 yards away, and they're already 10 yards away. So there's no more running down, staying in your lane, making the big time plays, avoiding those big time collisions. I could see that because it's super safe. It's way more safer for the athletes, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot more kick returns for touchdowns. That's hard to cover because you can't transition your lane. You can't have your safety valve as much. The kicker will be harder to block though. But I sense some kick returns being took back.
It's like that. It's like that bags drill that we used to do at practice a little bit, man.
Step out of the bags, like drop your
step
hips.
out of the bag, get around the blocker, and go.
Yep, shed. 100%. So you already said it, right? Those rules, those things in your practice, you're not gonna have to do as much. All you're gonna have to do is run 5 yards, shed your person, and you're already there. So I do think that just for the safety thought, and after a whole season seeing it, the NFL's gonna be like, we really like that rule, XFL. Thanks for trying it out. It does work. It does keep people more safe. So I thought that rule was really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like did we see that in other leagues? Maybe USFL?
USFL, I only
Yeah.
watched a handful of those games.
Yeah, it's hard to sell. I want to say that was used there too, but either way, just some good ideas, just a different perspective that I enjoy, and then obviously having a local team is really cool. Fan of the Orlando Guardians, gotta love it, baby. But here we go. 0-1.
You gotta get a hat. You gotta get I got myself a Brahma hat coming in.
I'm just saying. Oh, right now I need them to redeem themselves on this weekend before I feel good about them. Jeez.
Yeah, see, Hines Ward actually coaches the Brahma, so I really like him. We had a tough one, blew a late lead in the game. I think they played the Battle Hawks, which the names are pretty raw.
It was that was a crazy ending though. It was like 15 points.
That brings up the next point, the new rule, onside kicks. You don't got to kick onside kicks anymore, Yank, in the XFL. 4th and 15. Have your best offensive play for 4th and 15, and you draw it up. And they had a blown coverage, like a perfect, like 12 or 17 to 20-yard, like corner route. Really threaded the needle. And, like, that's exciting because you know why? People love offense. People love seeing it going. Like, can you imagine Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen with a 4th and 15 instead of an onside kick? Like,
yeah.
Where do I put my money?
It'd be amazing.
So how do you feel about the 4th? Do you think it's a good rule? Like,
I mean, I don't think it's a rule that should be implemented in the NFL. I really don't. But I think it's extremely entertaining and I love to watch it. But no, I don't think that that's a rule that should be transferred over now.
Extremely entertaining. XFL, both have an X in it. I totally agree. I think they should stay.
I do think it should be.
I do think it'll take away from the NFL just a little bit, but it's that weird, different, like when you're watching XFL, like, oh, snap, we just scored. We get this 4th and 15, right? It should stay in the XFL. It does suck when you're on the opposing end of it. Like, dude, we just blew a 4th and 15. They just got the ball back. All the momentum, right? When I was watching the game, I'm like, there's no way they win. Like, dang it, they're gonna go drive down and score. But being on the flip side, like if you were a Seattle Battlehawk fan, you're like, yeah, let's go. We're winning this. Like, that's super exciting. I do agree though. Keep it in the XFL, but it's exciting to watch. Like, let me see that in February, March. April, right?
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then
let me see
September.
the league itself like do well and expand, and hopefully we can get more than 8 to 10 teams, and we'll just keep it going because that would be what makes it better.
100%, and it's good. I think people are always going to tune in. It's not going to be nearly as big as the NFL, obviously, but
No,
it's
it
going to
doesn't
be a
need to be
good
a full
outlet.
32 roster, but
Yeah, it's going to be a great thing for a lot of these players who are like, man, you should go play at the next level, right? Who really didn't get that chance because they were maybe a little bit too small and not fast enough for the NFL. But like, can you imagine? Like, sign me up. Where do I sign to play in the XFL? Like,
right?
that'd be pretty darn sweet. Because you're still dressing up, still dressing in shoulder pads, etc. And they did get some of those good coaches as well. I mean, nonetheless, some of the players that they got, like AJ McCarron, Ben DiNucci, some of the NFL stars, Josh Gordon is in it.
Yeah,
He scored a touchdown. But like Wade Phillips, you have Hines Ward, like you have some of these coaches. You're like, okay, like those familiar names is what draws in the fans. I mean,
That's why we couldn't score. We had to go against Wade Phillips.
they cooked y'all too. Like Wade Phillips was having a day.
21, beat by 21.
Yeah, hey, first game, you're gonna get the rust off.
First game jitters for sure.
No, but y'all like really seriously take some time. People who are listening, like, go check out the XFL. Like, I mean, I like it just because it's more football and it's something I can throw on. And Haley was like, I thought football was over. I'm like, me too. But obviously you got to watch all the basketball and March Madness before that. That takes precedent before. But I'm always gonna watch. I'm not gonna probably watch too many of the other games. So whenever the Brahmas are on, I'm watching it. Let's go, horns forward. But that's kind of our XFL talk. Do you have anything? They can't say horns up because that's Texas. So horns forward.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So I appreciate the switch up. It's an interesting feeling. Oh yeah, but yeah. No, I'm good. XFL can close on a good note right there.
100%, y'all. This has been such an exciting episode. Talking all basketball. Basketball is back. March Madness is coming. Wait for
Cannot
that.
wait for it. Cannot wait for the next tourney, baby.
100%, because you know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be in class, and every one of my classes. Sorry, y'all. We're putting March Madness up. It is what it is. That's what you get when you have Mr. Hines. So, amazing talks. Good debates. Any last things before you close us off, Mr. Zizzy?
I wanted to have a couple hot takes, but I think I got to come in more prepared, because if I just start railing off stuff, it hasn't been necessarily the best for my takes the last few
Really
months.
though, truly.
So I gotta just reel it in and like calm down and think these through before I get on the mic and start spewing madness. So we'll hold off another week, but we'll come back.
And my two are, Brahmas are going to catch a W this week, and the Denver Nuggets aren't making it to the Western Conference Finals, and I can solely be behind those takes confidently.
That one I would not be feeling nearly as
Bring it on, Donkey Kong.
Okay. Well, horns forward. If you're talking sports, this is the matchup. Mickey here with Zizzy, we cutting it up. Just a couple athletic enthusiasts. You know what it is. The Mickey Zizzy podcast. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.